Hey everyone, welcome back to our On the Money YouTube channel, powered by Allied Wealth. Matt Stevenson here. And today I wanted to talk about 5 critical mistakes to avoid when planning for your retirement. And really the first critical mistake that I think of is not having a vision for what you want to spend your days doing in retirement. And I actually see this quite often. People come into the office to talk with us and get to know us. And one of the first questions that I ask them is, what does retirement day plus one look like for you and your family? Meaning, what are you going to spend your days doing? Is it traveling? Is it spending time with the kids, the grandkids? Is it planning out that overseas vacation that you've been wanting to do for years now? Whatever that vision is for you, it's important to take the time before you pull the trigger on retirement to know what that looks like for you and have that mapped out. When we don't have that vision for retirement properly fleshed out, that's when we become a little stagnant. That's where we're staying home. Maybe we're not feeling our days being fruitful, and we're not remaining sharp in the most important years of our life. So that would be the first mistake that we certainly want to avoid. The second critical mistake that I see quite often is not understanding our capacity to take risk going into retirement. And what I mean by that is, how much risk can we actually afford to take and not suffer a lifestyle change potentially in retirement? Especially those first 3 to 5 years, what I call the retirement red zone, are the most critical years to make sure that we understand and have a plan in place to manage risk, smooth out the volatility of things going on around us, and understand how much risk we can afford to take while not suffering a potential lifestyle change. Now, this is different from the conversation around our tolerance for risk. That's more of our feeling and our behaviors around how conservative or aggressive do we want to be in retirement. And that is subjective. It's also tied to our emotions, and that changes based on the economic climate that we're in. Especially, you look at a year like 2022, we had so much volatility in the markets and the economy because of inflation, interest rates, all of these variables, that our risk tolerance changes because our emotions change along with them. Instead, what we want to do through proper planning is quantify how much risk we can actually take to maintain that lifestyle. And our focus there is minimizing what we call drawdown, or our potential for loss, and understanding what that number needs to be to stay on the trajectory we want for ourselves in retirement. Number 3 critical mistake to avoid is understanding how to actually produce income from your nest egg. Oftentimes people go into retirement and they've got their basket of accounts, IRAs, 401ks, personal savings, whatever that is, this mix of stuff. We don't actually understand how to produce what I call a paycheck replacement, or a consistent income stream off of those baskets. That's one of the first things that we coach and work with our clients on, is really when we get to retirement, those different retirement baskets become an extension of our personal savings over time. And that's why also understanding how to make those dollars work consistently for you is so important, because it allows us to produce a consistent cash flow from that nest egg each month, each quarter, each year, whatever you want that to look like over time. The 4th critical mistake that we want to make sure that we avoid is having an actual investment plan in place going into retirement. So often people come to see us and they bring their account statements. They've got a bunch of different stocks and mutual funds, whatever the case is, inside of those accounts. And they'll say, look, Matt, here's my plan. I've got all these different funds in place. Just because you have a mixture of funds and you feel as though you're diversified, that is not a plan. Having a comprehensive plan in place for how your money is working is understanding what sort of growth am I getting, what sort of risk am I taking to get that growth and return on my money over time? What sort of drawdown potential do I have? What if we go through one of these market crashes? And is my money able to adapt to the market environments around us? We're always going to have different variables that pop up along the way. Geopolitical mess, political uncertainties here domestically, inflation, whatever the case is, there's always going to be some sort of headwind that threatens to derail our retirement. And so having a proper investment plan in place for how your dollars operate is essential. And the fifth, and one of the most important mistakes that we must make sure that we avoid, is having a plan in place to counteract taxation in retirement. This is one of the main focuses that we have with our clients at Allied Wealth, because we're taught so often to save into these pre-tax accounts, like an individual retirement account, like your 401k through work. And the fact of the matter is there's $19 trillion in pre-tax accounts across the globe today, and none of those dollars have ever been taxed before. And because of all these lost revenue streams, we've got $32 trillion in debt and rising by the second with our national government. They're going to look for additional sources of revenue, and there's probably going to be radical changes to the tax structure legislation wise in the next coming years. So making sure that we've got a plan in place to siphon dollars when and where possible from these pre-tax accounts into post-tax accounts, and ideally tax-free accounts, potentially like a Roth IRA, when we go into retirement, is critical. When we get to age 73, the government, our good friends with the IRS, force us to take mandatory distributions from all those pre-tax accounts. And so understanding how much wiggle room we have each year beforehand to perhaps not only provide for our income stream that we need, but take additional dollars from these pre-tax accounts and systematically move them, paying tax now while we're at a lower tax rate, into these post-tax buckets, makes the longevity of our plan that much more tax effective, not only for yourself, for your spouse, and as a lasting legacy for your loved ones as well. So these are some of the common mistakes that I see people potentially make on the cusp of retirement, and these are some of the main focus areas that we have in coaching and building our clients towards a comprehensive, adaptive retirement plan that can see them through their golden years. If you like our content, make sure that you subscribe to the channel below and hit the like button. We'll be producing more content in the next coming days. We'll see you soon.